Sometimes you sit there thinking nothing's going to happen. No announcements, no leaks, no rumors worth taking seriously, just the usual silence. And when you're a fan of something that has been around for decades, you get used to that silence, especially when the subject is lost media. You learn not to expect miracles because most of the time they don't happen. The reels were wiped, the tapes were junked, the vaults were cleared out decades ago, and whatever survived usually did so by accident rather than design. But every once in a while, something slips through the cracks of history. A forgotten film can turn up in an archive. A dusty reel is found in the back of a projection booth. A private collector's attic reveals something nobody even knew still existed. And when that happens, the entire fandom suddenly wakes up. Because lost media has a strange way of doing that, turning silence into excitement overnight. So just when you think there's nothing to talk about, suddenly there's news. Maybe not the exact news people were hoping for, maybe not in the way anyone expected, but news nonetheless. And when something like that happens, you don't sit on it, you talk about it. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Dæmon, and today we're talking about something that fans of Doctor Who have been hoping for, speculating about, and occasionally dreaming about for years: the recovery of lost episodes. Recently, a cardboard box discovered within a collector's rather ramshackle archive of vintage films revealed something extraordinary. 2 episodes of Doctor Who that had not been seen since their original broadcast in the 1960s. These episodes star the first Doctor, played by William Hartnell, during one of the most famous and infamous missing serials in the show's history, the Daleks Master Plan. The recovered episodes are titled The Nightmare Begins and Devil's Planet. Both originally aired in November 1965 as part of the massive 12-part Dalek epic. The story sees the Doctor and his companions confronting a grand Dalek scheme to conquer not just Earth, but the entire solar system and ultimately the galaxy itself. It's honestly one of the darkest and most ambitious stories the show ever attempted during its early years. Actor Peter Purves, who played companion Stephen Taylor, was reportedly invited to a screening at Leicester's Phoenix Cinema under false pretenses before being shown the restored episodes. His reaction summed up the moment perfectly. My flabber has never been so ghasted. For a cast member who worked on the story nearly 60 years ago, to suddenly see footage believed lost forever, that's the sort of thing fans and historians really live for. The discovery means that fans now possess the first 3 installments of the story, because the intervening episode, Day of Armageddon, had already been recovered in 2004 by a former BBC engineer. While the serial originally ran for 12 parts, more than half of it is still missing, making it, well, one of the most incomplete major stories in the show's history. The serial itself was written by Dalek creator Terry Nation alongside Dennis Spooner. It featured Hartnell and Purves, along with early appearances from Nicholas Courtney as Brett Vion, an actor who would later become iconic as the Brigadier. Other cast members included Adrian Hill as Katarina and Kevin Stoney as the villainous Mavic Chen. But like many programs of the era, the serial fell victim to the BBC's infamous wiping policy. During the 1960s and 70s, videotape was expensive and storage space limited, so programs were routinely erased once their initial broadcast life was over. Black and white shows were considered particularly disposable once color television arrived. The Daleks Master Plan was judged to have little future value and was ordered to be wiped, leaving most of it missing for decades. Most lost Doctor Who recoveries have come from overseas broadcasters. Copies were often sent to television stations around the world, and sometimes those stations kept them long after the BBC discarded its originals. The last major recovery back in 2013 came from a television archive in Nigeria, but the Daleks Master Plan was never widely sold overseas. Censors in Australia and New Zealand considered it too violent, and without those markets, the BBC saw little financial reason to distribute it elsewhere. So how did these episodes survive? Well, the answer lies in technical copies. BBC engineers would sometimes create film recordings to check for faults before pitching a program to international buyers. And one of those technical copies seems to have found its way into the personal collection of a private film enthusiast, that anonymous collector who apparently had a real passion for trains, canals, and home movie recording, left behind hundreds of reels when he passed away. Those reels were donated to the Leicester charity film Is Fabulous, and it was their archivists who eventually discovered the missing episodes hidden among them. According to Professor Justin Smith of De Montfort University, who chairs the trust, the entire Doctor Who community owes that collector a huge debt of gratitude. Honestly, without that private archive, and without the patience of archivists willing to sort through what looked like a totally chaotic pile of film cans, these episodes might have remained hidden forever. Now, the obvious question becomes, what happens next? Restored versions are expected to appear on BBC iPlayer around Easter, which suggests the BBC has already begun some pretty serious restoration work. Fans are quite naturally speculating about how the remaining missing episodes might be handled. Some may expect a quick telesnap reconstruction, while others might be predicting a motion capture animation similar to what was attempted with The Web of Fear. Personally, I'd prefer something a bit closer to the animation style used for the Moonbase, which just felt far more in keeping with the era. The newer animation styles, well, sometimes they feel a little too modern for these black and white stories. Of course, it's also possible that an animation has been in the works, as the animation team has actually been quiet for the last year and a half. If that's the case, the BBC may already have a plan for presenting the story as a complete reconstruction, but now they've got a lot of extra content for release. Personally, I'd have preferred the option I mentioned a while back. Either way, it's a moment worth celebrating. Lost Doctor Who episodes just don't turn up very often anymore. In fact, this ends the longest gap between recoveries since new discoveries were last announced back in 2013. For fans of the show, and especially for those fascinated by television history, it's a reminder that sometimes the past still has a few surprises left in it. And if the BBC does release these episodes properly, well, I'll just refer you back to my previous video on this story, because I've already said quite a lot about how these things should be handled. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell like the video, and leave your opinion in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.
Stars burn cold above poison ground. Whispers move where trust is drowned. Ancient skies and sickly green. Plotting hands work unseen. Signals trade in silent space. Empires form with murder's grace. Hope arise already late as destiny sharpens its blade. Wounded steps on foreign soil. Mercy sought through fear and toil. Strangers meet with guarded eyes. Allies forged beneath and hollow breath. Hostage hearts draw close to death. A final choice, no way back. Sacrifice splits the black. Whole world lies beneath the lie. Old friends fall and silently die. Blood answers blood in brutal kind. Trust erased, no truth behind. Every side demands a price. Every step rolls loaded dice. Survival trades its soul away just to see another day. When time is turned against the living, no mercy left, no forgiving. Plans unfold, the cost is plain. Victory feeds on endless pain. Stolen engines cut the dark. False salvation leaves its mark. Masks fall off, the game resets. Traps within traps, unpaid debts. Kings bow down to metal law. Power learns what fear is for. The master plan begins to rot as servants learn their worthless cogs. Control is lost, the blade slips free. No master rules eternity. The end begins without command. Time collapses out of hand. When time is turned against the living, no mercy left, no forgiving. Plans dissolve in screaming years, built on bones and crystallized tears. Aging screams and seconds pass, flash to dust to fading ash. No reward for standing brave, only names without a grave. Victory taste of bitter breath, measured now in counted deaths. When time is spent and worlds are raised, no triumph stands, no glory plays. All that's left is lost, laid bare, and silence thick with dead air. Stars go dark, the echoes cease. No one wins, not even peace.